Yes, we have Pallavi Sharma. She is the founder at Five Element Learning and an e-learning organization in Mosaic Word, a green literature publishing company. She has published author of 4 books on Selenium, and she's committed to a Selenium project currently with Selenium documentation. And she'll be giving a hands-on session on deep dive into Nightwatch, a powerful test automation framework for all things web and mobile. So, Pallavi, next 1 hour, 5 minutes is yours. So it is over to you now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Payal. Thank you, Omkar. I hope you all are able to hear me and see me.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's begin then. I'll just quickly share my presentation so that we can get started. Please let me know once you are all able to see it, okay?
Mhm.
Cool. Are you all able to see the presentation?
Your screen is up. The
Yes, Pallavi.
presentation is not up. Yeah,
Okay.
it's up.
Thank you so much. Okay, so a small request to everyone. As we begin the session, okay, on deep dive Nightwatch, I might not be able to see your chats and the questions in case you guys are having, but we will be taking a little short breaks during the discussion pointers. And during that, I will be able to have a look at it and answer your questions. Will that work for everyone? You can just reply back on the chat. Right now, I'm looking at it. So I hope you all are able to have a look at the setup and are able to work for it. I mean, set up your systems. So I will just start with it now. So welcome all of you to the 9th edition of the Global Testing Retreat Conference by Agile Testing Alliance. My name is Pallavi Sharma, and I'm a founder at Five Elements Learning. The topic for today, which is the workshop which we are going to do, is we are going to have a look at Nightwatch, which is a very powerful test automation framework based upon the Selenium WebDriver standard. And the language which we'll be choosing for this workshop is JavaScript. So that's how we are going to begin the session. So I have around professional years experience of around 18 years. I'm a committer at Selenium project. I'm a published author. I have so far published 4 books, which are primarily on Selenium using different programming languages. I also coach and train people. I'm also a recognized Google Women Tech Ambassador. This is my link tree. You can find details here, or you can scan the QR code and have a look at it. If you would like to connect me over LinkedIn or reach out to me on Twitter, you can please do that. So what we are going to talk about today is we are going to have a look at what is Selenium. We will spend around 5 minutes or so on it. What is Nightwatch? We will then be delving into setting Nightwatch for the system. We are going to then write our first script with Nightwatch, have an understanding of what Nightwatch configuration file is all about and how do we do settings there. We will have a short walkthrough of the Nightwatch API, have an understanding on assertions of Nightwatch API. And finally, we will be able to execute our scripts over cloud. And the cloud platform I'm right now, for respect to this session, I'm going to use is BrowserStack. Although there are multiple other cloud service providers which you can use to run your test, including setting your own. BrowserStack is also the organization which is taking care of the Nightwatch project, which is an open source project. But they are taking care of it by working on it, by providing a platform to various contributors across the world to work on that project and the community to use it. So I have a few questions before I begin the session. How many of you are already users of Selenium? So you can just quickly type in the chat if you're already using Selenium. Okay. And if you can also very quickly let me know what exactly are you looking here in for this workshop, as in what's your purpose of attending this workshop? Um, okay, okay. Are you aware of that there are various other test automation frameworks which are built over Selenium, which are open source? Okay. And uh, and since it's a question, I have to ask you, how many of you are playwright or Cypress enthusiasts here? Okay, okay, great, cool. Okay, thank you so much for answering. Were you all able to have a look at the lab setup document which we had shared? Okay, okay, cool. Okay, fine. So we will start with the workshop then. So Selenium is now a 2 decade old open source project which primarily automates browser, and that's all it does. It's a low level library to automate browser. And a lot of people across the world, the last download numbers which I'm aware of is 4.5 or 4.8 million downloads per month. They use Selenium, and a lot of people in them use Selenium for testing purposes to drive their browsers, everything. Everything you want to know about Selenium is available on the Selenium website, which is shared here. And if most of you are already aware of Selenium as a project, so you must be aware of this. So Selenium is effectively an umbrella project for various tools and library which enable automation of browser. Selenium WebDriver, or the WebDriver per se, is actually a W3C standard which defines how a browser should be automated, what all things a browser like Chrome or Firefox should enable so that they can be automated using Selenium WebDriver. And the next protocol which is making is the WebDriver BiDi, in which a lot of work is ongoing, and a lot of projects which are also into browser automation for browser automation purpose or testing purpose, like Puppeteer, Playwright, are also collaborating in the building of the new WebDriver BiDi protocol. So you can check out about the W3C on the W3C website about the WebDriver standard and the WebDriver BiDi if you're interested in. Also, if you're interested in contributing to those projects, the community is very much open for it. So what is Nightwatch? Nightwatch is an integrated framework to perform an automated end-to-end testing of your web application websites on all across major browsers and mobile devices. It is written in Node.js and it uses the W3C WebDriver API to interact with the various web browser. So we will quickly have a look at the Nightwatch website because that's important. And again, all the information which you would like to know about Nightwatch, how to use it, how to set up, which is a very clean and a smooth setup, can be found here. So it's a no compromise test automation framework, and it allows us to run and debug our test across various web and native mobile applications. So, since it's a workshop and it's hands-on, I will not be delving into too much basics. I will be starting working on the workshop, and I would like if you can also join and work along with me so that we can make the most of the time we have available. So will that be okay for all of you? Okay. Okay. So let's begin with just setting up things on our system. Okay. Primarily set up where your Node.js should be available on your system. That part should be taken care by you all. It's there in the document. If you haven't done it, you can do it quickly. And having a IDE, preferably Visual Studio Code, is a good thing to do. So we'll set up with our process of setting Nightwatch in our system, with the prerequisite being that the Node.js is already set up, okay? I will be following the steps which are there on the website and also mentioned in the document. Fine. So first of all, we would need a particular place in our system where we are going to do all that setup. So I'm going to find that place and do it. So I'm simply creating a folder on my system right now. I'm not going to use any GitHub or repos right now, but later I will be uploading them as our workshop ends. And once I do that, I'll share it so that you guys can then use it. So we are on the place where we are going to set things up, okay? And the very first command I'm going to use is this, which is simply we are going to node install the Nightwatch on our system, okay? So that's the first step which we are going to do. The setup is pretty much smooth. If you're coming from the side of Selenium where, you have to also integrate a lot of other things with Selenium so that you can enable it for testing purpose, you might find this a very smooth change here, rather a great feature to have. So we are going to use Nightwatch for end-to-end testing. The language of choice for us is JavaScript. I'm going to toggle all because I would like to use all three browsers for my workshop. The folder in which my test files are going to be is simply test. Currently, I'm not setting any website. I would right now like to run it on localhost. So I'm going to set it up. I don't want it to connect any metrics. No, not needed to set any mobile devices on system, but we will definitely be doing execution on cloud. And with that, we have a very smooth Nightwatch setup done on our system. Are you all of you are able to do that? Yes, I will. I'll share that. If you have already set it up and the step is done, you can just say yes to this. Or if you are using the time right now to do it, you can tell me that as well. Okay. Fair enough. I'll just quickly do a change once again.
Okay. Okay. So we will be moving on to the next step, guys. Okay. So once the Nightwatch is configured on our system and it's installed, we'll have a look at it at the folder structure which gets created at the back end. Okay. So we have all the node modules here in the node modules folder, which might be required or which are needed. Okay. All the npm stuff. This is the test folder which gets created, which will be having our files as we create it. Inside the Nightwatch, there are some template folders and some examples which are available to us. This is provided by the Nightwatch itself to give us an idea of how we can develop and extrapolate over it. Okay. So if we look at the examples folder, it has again various subfolders. In each of these subfolders is a JavaScript file which basically can be executed to test our Nightwatch setting. Okay, so that's what we are going to do right now, is to simply execute um, some example files on our system to see it, okay, to see Nightwatch in action. So let's do that. So the command I'm going to run is npx nightwatch, and I'm going to simply go to the folder of examples and execute that all the JavaScript files. So what would this do is it would go and have a look at inside the Nightwatch examples folder, and it will pick each of these tests one after the another, and it will execute it. Okay. So the execution has started. If you're coming from the Selenium site, you might be able to find out that this is pretty much quick. Okay. This setup is very quick and very fast for our execution. And now let's do that a little later. So once our execution is over, we can go back here and have a look at the output directory, which basically will simply show us a very nice report of our test execution. Again, if you're coming from pure Selenium site, you might find this a great feature to have, where there is no need to integrate any external reportings. I didn't integrate any TestNG reportings or LO reporting. Again, based upon your language of choice, whichever language you're using, any external third-party reporting tool to get the reports of the executions which have happened. Okay, and it tells you all the steps and everything. Okay. So the reports get generated inside your main folder in the test output, and inside it you have a Nightwatch HTML report. Inside it you have your index. So I'll just share the path so that you guys have an idea where you need to look at. So it's the workshop is basically the main folder you have created. Here. Are you all able to see it? If you want me to repeat it, I'll repeat it. Sure. Should I repeat the steps one more time? Will that be okay with you guys? Okay, I'll do that. Let me just quickly do it. The setup part is done, right? Setup is clear. Cool. So after the setup is done, this part is clear to you guys that inside this setup, we have a Nightwatch folder. Inside the Nightwatch folder, there are some template folders which the project has shared as to help us get started. Inside this, the folder right now we are interested is in examples folder. Okay. In the examples folder, they have created some basic tests for us to have a look at to get an idea how can we create our own. So each of these folders contains various JavaScript files and each of these are various tests. So I'm right now just opening it in Notepad in a different ID, it will look nicer. So this part is clear, right? So what I'm going to do is we are going to execute these tests to test our basically setup, whether the setup is done or not. So I'm going to simply do that. Okay. So the command we have to be in our folder. The command we are giving is npx nightwatch, and then we need to give the path of where our test is. The tests are inside the Nightwatch folder, inside examples. I want to run all the tests inside the main subfolder examples. So it will go on to each of these folders, pick each of these JavaScript files one by one, and it will start the execution. Okay. So as you can see, the execution has started. So what I was trying to say was, if you're coming from the pure Selenium side, you might find this execution pretty much smooth and very fast to set up. And as the execution gets over, okay, so all these tests started one after the another in parallel, basically. And after the execution is over, we can have a look at the output folder. Inside it, we will have a Nightwatch HTML report folder. If we click on it, you have an index file created, index.html, which basically generates the test report. So we are not integrating it because it's a test automation framework. It's the boiler framework code which is available to us. So we don't have to integrate any third-party tools like Allure or some other unit test frameworks to get our work done. So the report is available to us. You can have a look at it to understand what type of execution happened, where your test passed or failed, etc. Is this clear now? The tests are getting executed one after the another. So if you all are able to do it, I will share the command which we need to write. It is npx nightwatch. You need to be inside your folder where you have done your setup. Okay. One after the another, Rohit. That's what I said. They in all these folders, the file are picked up for execution. Yes, we can decide that. I will come to that. If for some of the questions which you are asking, if because of uh, time or in case I'm not aware, I will take up these questions and I will get back to you on it. So we will be moving on. Will that be okay? Okay, cool. So as the execution happened, if we look at it, what actually happened was Nightwatch spoke to the Selenium server through the WebDriver API and first created a session. Once the session got created, again, the concept this part you guys are aware of. The session has to get created, and the session creation or the handling of the browser automation is being done by the Selenium WebDriver. And once that is done, based upon which browser we are talking to, that particular browser driver is talking to our Selenium server, which is then talking to our Nightwatch to get work done. Okay. So, a good comparison of Nightwatch could be with other test automation frameworks. For example, you can compare it with Cypress, Playwright. You can also compare it with WebDriver IO and other similar test automation frameworks available. It's an interesting link in case your primarily language of choice or working is JavaScript or TypeScript, and you're looking on a tool which is basically based upon WebDriver standards, which is the standard for browser automation. This link provides us with a good comparison as to where Nightwatch is in comparison to other frameworks which are quite popular nowadays, which is Cypress and Playwright, and the benefit of using Nightwatch over them. So as you can have a look at the architecture level, it uses an HTTP protocol, and with WebDriver BiDi, it will become event driven. Whereas Cypress and Playwright has a different way of working than how Nightwatch works, which basically is using the working or the protocol WebDriver underneath. The language support is JavaScript and TypeScript, whereas Playwright also supports other languages, which Selenium as well supports. Um, a lot of discussion comes on the end browser, which we are automating. So with Nightwatch, you can be rest assured that the browser which is being automated or on which you are running your test is the same browser which your end user is using. This is not true for Cypress and Playwright. For Safari, they are not using the Safari browser, which your end user is using to automate your test. And then you get inherent mobile web support, which is missing in other platforms. And a more detailed comparison can be found on the link, which I have shared with you all. Okay. Any questions here? Anyone has any questions here? Whichever cloud service is available and your organization has access to or uses it, that should be good. Comparison time, execution time, which is available on with respect to other tools, Rohit, like Cypress, Playwright, WebDriver IO. Are you asking for that? In case you're asking for that, I right now don't have any comparison times available on execution time with respect to other tools, but I am pretty sure that it is significantly um, I don't have the comparison times available. For that, anyone can do a small proof of concept, making similar projects, and at the end of the day, you can simply change the browser automation tool on which you're working. Okay, so that could be done. So based upon your work, you can quickly develop a proof of concept, and that can help you with it. Okay, so system setup part we have done. We have been able to execute, have a look at the test results as well. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to quickly have a look at a small application which we will be using for demo purpose, on which we are going to develop a test. Okay, so let me show that to you all. So I would request you all to just have a look at this application. It's a web application. The scenario which we are going to pick up is basically login, logout. To save right now little time and effort, I will be giving you the credentials, but this is a website which is free to use for all of you. You can play around it, and I will tell you from where you can create your own account, and then you can work on it. Just do not use any real email address. It is not going to send you any verification mail. So just create a demo email and you can use this. So what we are going to do is we are going to simply write down a login logout test and a login logout test using some assertion commands, and then we are going to uh, execute them using Nightwatch. But before that, let's have a look at the scenario. So when you click on my account, it will take you to the page which will ask you to register it. Okay, you need to either have a login logout account. In case you do not have it, you need to go ahead and register yourself as a new user. So you click on the continue button, and here you can fill in all these form elements. Once all these form elements are filled, again, please do not use any real email address, just use a dummy email ID. But remember what credentials you gave. And once you have that, you can then log in and log out of this account. For the sake of demo, I'm just going to use an account which I have created. And I will share it with you guys. Okay. So once we have logged in, you can verify that you have logged in by validating the text on the screen, or you can verify based upon the element you're looking at. And then you can have a look at your account, the orders you have placed. You can then click on log off. Again, you can verify the steps of logging off as well based upon the text on screen. And you can click on the continue and you're back to the home page. So let me share the website and the credentials using which you can log in. If you're able to access it and log in, log out on this, you need to go to the My Account link and log in there. Okay. If you're able to do that, let me know. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on the IDE. We'll now be moving on to the IDE. Again, the setup for the IDE, whatever is required, is shared in the document which is there with you all. So to save the time, we are just going to have a look at the folder structure, which we see in the backend. It is the same. You're having a look here. These are our folders, okay? Inside the test folder, which was supposedly empty, it would be empty for you all, but I have these two files here. I'll be sharing these files with you, this code with you guys, and you can quickly create a login logout.js file inside the test folder. Most of you here are already aware of Selenium, so we will quickly go through the script here before I share. So we are going to start our test by describing it, that it is a login logout test. The purpose of before and after is to basically have a setup and a tear down approach. And inside it, we have our actual test script. Right now, it is not a test, it is simply a script because I haven't added any validation. There is no assertion or verification added. So I would like to use XPath as the default locator setting. If you don't say use XPath as a default locator setting, it takes CSS. So then I simply use the commands like click to click on what? A link, which based upon how are we trying to recognize the link using a link text, which is my account. We would like to use the command set value, and we pass on the locator. So the element email address is being identified using the name locator, the value being email address, and we set the password. Similarly, the password field is being identified using the name property password. The sign in button has got an ID property TDB5, and so on and so forth. So I'm sharing the code here. You guys can go ahead inside the test folder. You can create a login logout.js file and have all this there. Okay. So again, locators are pretty much easy. You can simply go ahead, right click, inspect, and when you inspect any element, you can find the information associated with it. Okay. That's how we are able to find the information associated with any element. Okay. Fair enough. So now what we are going to do is this test we have opened, this test we have created. I would now would like to run this particular test and see. So as I started my execution, it will basically start and execute the test on the Chrome browser. I will show you very shortly from where it is picking all the browsers, and there is no need for me to set up any drivers separately and everything, thanks to Selenium Manager work there. And also Nightwatch also has its own module drivers. I'll just quickly show you how easy it is for me to set up the run on different browsers on my system. So the command I'm using is again npx nightwatch dot slash test. Test is the folder in which my file is. Login logout is the name of my file. Dash E stands for environment, and I'm saying I want to execute on Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. Okay. As I started, these tests will start execution in parallel. On these three different environments, my test execution will start. You can see on my system, three different browsers are being launched, and on that, the execution gets started. Okay. In all of these three browsers, the steps would be happening the same, which is performing the login and logout action. No validation is being done right now. It's not difficult to add any validation. Okay. And it tells us it has used all these 3 different environments, and the test is run. Again, you can have a look at the report inside your HTML report folder. This would basically tell you about the 3 tests on the 3 different environments which has been executed. Okay. So the command is, you guys are unable to copy it? Okay. Sorry about that. No problem. Is there a way I can share a file with you guys? Let me just try that. I'll just share the file.
I think you can do it in the chat. Yes.
I'll share the file. So what was it? I'll share these 2 files. You guys can have it. Are you all able to see the files? You need to keep it inside your test folder. You will run this command for the execution to happen, and I will share the execution for your different browsers. Ensure that the browsers on which you are running your execution should be there on your system. Otherwise, it is not going to run it. Okay. So are we, okay, I'll just give you guys a minute to do it, please. And then we will move on to the next part. We are a little short on time. I'm sorry if anyone is finding it that this is being rushed, but there are a few important concepts which I would like to showcase. And after that, we are going to have a look at the Nightwatch configuration file so that you understand where this information with which easily it was doing all this execution is coming from. And then we will quickly use the browser stack platform to run it on different environments. Okay, so right now we were running it locally. We'll then run it over the browser stack. Will that be okay with everyone? So you would like to quickly see that. How much time is left? Do we have 10 minutes?
Yes, we have about 15 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes, fine. Okay. So I would like to show you all this Nightwatch configuration file. Okay, inside your own folder, the folder which we had created, there is a nightwatch.conf.js file which gets created when we were doing the setup part. Okay, if we look at this particular file, it tells us about the folders where our tests are available. This is created by default. If we want to run our test in parallel, we have to basically perform a, again, this is enabled. So we have to basically set test worker and enable true. And there is one more command which says we have to set the mode as auto, which I'll share the setting. We then come across the test settings for our execution. Inside the test settings, we can basically say that the screenshots should be taken or should not be taken. We can set them as false and true and false. The browser, the default browser on which we want the execution to start, So whenever I started without giving any environment, it will pick Chrome because that's what we have given here. And then you can also provide the detailed information related to each of your browsers. So if you were aware of the desired capabilities part, which we used to use on Selenium and for the different browsers, we do this here in the configuration file. And that's more or less it looks like. So when we are going to run this particular setup over the cloud, a lot of information gets changed or added in that configuration file, where basically the most important part would be giving it the access credential to run it over cloud. Okay. So this is your configuration file. And now I would like to show you execution over the cloud for the similar test which we have run locally. And for that, I would quickly tell you guys the steps which we are going to do. Okay. So the first step we are going to do is you need to basically have an account on the browser stack platform. Okay. So the website using which you can basically go ahead and create your account, which you can do it for free, is browserstack.com. It is not necessary to use BrowserStack. If you have your own setup, your own cloud, you can use that. Or if you have access to Source Labs or Lambda Test or other similar providers, you can do that. Okay. For the demo purpose, for this particular workshop, we are using BrowserStack. So once you are there on the BrowserStack platform, this is the link which gives you again a demo project which you can set up on your system and get started with running Nightwatch test on your BrowserStack environment. Okay, it's a pretty cool project and very nice setup steps are available. So you can have a look at it and you can git clone the repository and you can change the information here. I'll tell you where you need to change the information based upon your own configuration access keys, and you can run your test. So has anyone was able to have a BrowserStack account, or anyone has a BrowserStack account with which they have access keys? So I would take silence as no. Will that be okay? Okay. Okay, no worries. Great. So if you have created your BrowserStack account, okay, and if you log into that, you can see your access key here. Okay. So you will come on a dashboard kind of a scenario page once you log in, and on the top you have your access key settings. And if you open this link with your setup, it will also be able to generate the configuration file which we need to run our test. So I would move on to the predefined test on my system. And I will show you where we need to do the setting. Okay. So my test is same. It is the same login logout test. The two files which will change is my configuration file, and another file which we have created is an environment file. Environment file basically provides information to the cloud on which environments you would like to pick up to run execution, and I will show you that. So this is my Nightwatch configuration file. It says that it requires environment. I will in a very short time show you what environment files look like. and I will share these files with you. You need to have the browser stack setting available. So inside this username and password, the access keys, you need to provide your own. Okay. So here you need to provide your own username and password. Your own username and access key, which you have received once you have created your account. It tells where it is, which type of automation, browser automation it's going to use. So it's saying we are going to use Selenium on a port 443. So if you're familiar with Selenium Grid, that's what it is doing. And it requires a Nightwatch browser stack plugin. I'll show you the steps. The test settings are similar to what we saw in our default Nightwatch configuration file. So the important part in here is to have the username and access key settings in our Nightwatch configuration file so that when we run it, it knows and the where it is going to execute. So the Selenium server hub details. The environment files on which we are going to run our test looks like this. So here I have declared 3 environments. Environment 1 is our Chrome browser. Environment 2 is our Safari. And environment 3, I am basically running on Chromium, which is on iPhone 13. We are using the browser Chromium to run our test. So these are the 3 environment which we have set in the environments folder. Okay. And now we are going to execute these tests using the same command. So I'm going to say npx nightwatch. My tests are inside the test folder. And I would want it to take all the 3 environments. Okay. So as I do that, hopefully demo gods won't be disappointed, but again, things happen. Okay, thank you. Thank you, dear demo gods. So the execution starts. You see running here, and our test execution starts. You can see it has created close to somewhere around, there were 2 tests, there were 3 environments. So it has created those sessions. And in all those sessions, these test execution is happening. You can see. So this is happening on the Chromium iPhone. And similarly, we'll be able to see the video once the execution is over. This is happening on Windows. So I believe the execution is over. No, not yet. It's right now happening. Okay. So we can see the video recording of our test as it happened. Again, it's the same. Again, it's a login logout, which is working. Okay. But it is happening in the iPhone environment. Similarly, I can go ahead and check out the video for other executions which have happened. Okay. So it is pretty much smooth, simple, and very effective test automation framework, which is available to all of us. It's open source. Anyone can go ahead and use this project. If JavaScript is your language of choice and there is something you would like to build your test automation on a WebDriver standard, browser automation standard, I would urge you to go ahead and check out Nightwatch as a project. So with this, I would like to now close the workshop. If you have any questions you want to ask me, you can please do that.
Any questions, guys?
Can we use browser stack along with this Nightwatch?
Yeah, that's what we have just used. We are
Sorry, I
on
missed
the
that.
No problem. We are on the browser stack platform itself, and we have run our Nightwatch test on the browser stack platform. But uh, you can also use Sauce Labs Lambda test or create your own grid, to run the test.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions?
So again, Nightwatch is an open source project. Okay, you can find help here if you have any questions. If you get stuck with the project, the community is over Discord. And if you would like to, become a contributor to the project, this links gives us information on where and how you can begin your contribution. Okay. So this is the link which can help you guys. And any open source project, contributors are always required and needed. So if you would like to become a part of this particular one, if it excites you, you enjoy it, you are more than welcome to explore it.
Pallavi, one question I have. What are the key challenges? Like, for example, when we are doing in Selenium, there are a lot of these locator challenges that happen, right? What are the kind of challenges that you have normally faced? Can we see some of them, or can you show that these are the challenges that you faced?
See, locators challenge is not a Selenium challenge. Okay, I would like to again maybe it should be addressed in a different way. Locators challenge depends upon, first of all, automation of your application. Your development team is a stakeholder of your project. Your application should be built in a manner with the consideration that it has to be automated. Okay, otherwise you will be in a dead end loop of always fixing locators. Then we should be able to strategize what locators are best to use for our automation project. Whether would you like to use selectors like XPath CSS, would you like to go with ID name, or would you like your dev team to define um, a standard set of locators which do not change frequently with every build, because that's an overhead you can remove. Okay. So it has got nothing to do with the browser automation tool you're going to use, whether it is Selenium or Nightwatch. It should not have that impact.
Okay. Any other challenges that you probably incurred while doing things on Nightwatch?
No, not as such. Again, but it's an open source project. It undergoes various version changes as and what changes which will be happening. But the good part with Nightwatch is, compared to other, similar frameworks, that it is built upon the WebDriver standard. So we can be rest assured that the standard which is taking care of browser automation, Nightwatch is not going to be bothered about it because it is built on it. So it is not redoing, or it is not reinventing a wheel. It is based on Selenium WebDriver, but
Okay.
it is providing you all these boilerplate framework code for your language of choice, which is JavaScript. So you have the chai assertions, mocha assertions available to you. And the configuration file is pretty much powerful, where, just doing small changes there quickly helps you change or add environments for your test.
Okay. And Pallavi, have you basically uploaded this code base in some GitHub?
I will be doing that
Okay.
in a short while after the session is over. So I will be sharing the presentation and the code and all the files with the links and everything. So the people who have attended it and the community who is attending GTR can then find it there, Aditya.
So there are few questions only in the chat. Can you check?
Sure. Yes. The answer to Shrikant question is mobile automation and WebDriver IO. Yes. Uh, WebDriver IO is based on WebDriver. Okay, the name says it. So they're very much similar projects. There was a question on API or testing in Nightwatch. I will share that information. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you
Thank you.
for attending.
Thanks a lot, Pallavi.
Thank you. Thank you, Pallavi. Thanks for all the information that you have provided us for the night watch. And I would really appreciate you, trying to help to understand what night watch is. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
That's all.
everyone. Thank you so much for attending the session. Thank you for your time. And those who were able to quickly do the hands-on with me, I appreciate you. You guys are pretty fast. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you,
Thank you so much. Thanks,
media team.
Pallavi. Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.